prayer today is that the Lord give you peace that is unshakable. Yes, my prayer today is that He fills you with a passion for righteousness. Lord, my prayer today is that Jesus will guide you through every storm. Yes, every storm. Lord, every storm. This is my prayer today.
I'm here because I am a roaring lion crying out, righteousness. Welcome, everybody, to the Trust in the Lord Hour. I'm your host, James David Trusting in the Lord Manning. How is everybody doing today? We pray that all is well with you. This is our prayer today. Now, we are continuing our journey of Solomon's University, part 6. And we have derived that title in the event that you're just logging on and just becoming aware of who we are. And by the way, we welcome all the new listeners and followers, or whether it's people that once was with us and now returning, but we're just glad to see you coming back on board again. And in the event you're not aware of Solomon's University, and where we got that title from, we got it from last month. We were able to enter into spiritually, in a spiritual realm, spiritual dynamics. We were able to enter into what I refer to as Solomon's space. And, you know, Solomon, the wisest man, the richest man that ever lived, the son of David, the grandson of Jesse. And so as a result of that, now we have discovered by looking carefully at 16 years of teaching Proverbs chapter 3 that we have actually opened up a spiritual university where Solomon and his wisdom and his power is indeed our instructor, the author, the writer, the teacher of all of us, to teach us how to be wise and wealthy, or blessed and rich, I think, to be like Solomon. And so we have had this experience. It's been a great time over the past month of, you know, teaching Proverbs chapter 3. And Solomon's University is, in my estimation, is greater than Cambridge or Oxford over there in the UK, or Harvard or Yale or Princeton or Columbia over here in the US. It is just the greatest university ever. And all you have to do is log on and listen to me teach, as long as I'm in this particular mode, and you can go to school. And we have discovered as well spiritually that in Solomon's University, as we who are students under the leadership, the tutelage, the wisdom of Solomon, can learn law, and biblical law, that is, which is the greatest law. All the other laws of America come from the Bible. We can learn how to succeed at economics, philosophy, and medicine. All these things we learn from Solomon. And I want to be able to try to make that clear to you without having to do this intro every time. But I realize there are a lot of new people, and even some of the older people that have been listening to us for some time may not have caught on to the theme of what's going on. And this is a reality. This is not hyperbole. This is a reality that we're now in Solomon's University. And Proverbs chapter 3 is the flagship of this universal university type teaching on law, And all of this will cause us to succeed economically, professionally, and be able to fulfill our dreams and our desires. In addition to that, we have been teaching about a 20% increase in your lifestyle. And we want to ask you, do you feel like you're growing? Do you feel like you are increasing, ever so incrementally, even though you may not have reached a 20% mark? But I believe a lot of people feel that they're making changes and adjustments. And one of the things that we talked about in terms of way of increasing, of course, is to increase your patience. In your patience, Jesus said, ye possess your soul. And patience, of course, is a virtue that we all know about, but it is also a tool that many people fail to use. It's probably one of the overlooked tools that you can use to enhance yourself. And by becoming more patient, you're going to change things around you, and you're going to change people. Did you know that? If you decide that you're going to be a bit more patient, it's going to change things around you. And it's going to change people around you. It's going to change things in your life. Simply by deciding to be more patient, you're going to change things. I've said that already 3 times now. And you're going to change people around you, because once you become more patient, people are going to have to respond to that. There is no way people can ignore the fact that you've decided to become more patient. And that's one of the ways. And patience will not lead to a decrease in your lifestyle. It will lead to an increase. And it will lead you to another not very well used tool called critical or hard decisions. And usually a critical and a hard decision is a good decision. Most people spend most of their lives taking the easy way out, making the easy decisions. But Jesus says, narrow is the way and straight is the gate. There's a church up in Westchester County, not far from where I now sit. The name of the church is the Straight Gate Church. Just to be able to, I guess the pastor wants everybody to know you're coming here. The gate is straight and the way is narrow. Broadway is where you find a whole lot of people. Jesus said, whole lot. So making critical decisions will also increase your life. So becoming more patient, you'll take more time in making your decisions. I'm going to come back to that. I'm not through with that yet. But this teaching of Solomon's University and Solomon's Space. I'm just thankful to be able to be the teacher of this extraordinary lesson. These are extraordinary times for us. Or they're extraordinary times for me, I believe. And I believe that most people that are associated with Atla, even though there might be other things going on, for instance, such as we got a vicious foreclosure action against us. But let me say a word about that, and I'll say more about that foreclosure as well. This foreclosure is giving us the opportunity to exhibit a modern-day David and Goliath experience. I said on Saturday, on the Sabbath worship, that I don't know that I would want to have had my life in ministry without this experience. Now, if I didn't have it, I wouldn't know what it was. But I think that all of us need a great challenge in our lives. I'm coming back to Solomon's University, but this is also very critical to Solomon's University in general. All of us need a great challenge in our lives. Now, Atla is the greatest challenge. Atla is greater than the foreclosure. The foreclosure is simply an appendage or if you will, ancillary, if you must, part of Atla itself. But the Atla does not threaten the way the foreclosure does. It's a great challenge. And I would say to all of you that Atla is a great, great challenge. The foreclosure is a great challenge for me and for those of us that are fighting this battle. It gives us an opportunity to stand as David against Goliath. And we're going to come out a winner, and we'll be the talk of the town forever and forever and forever. We're gonna, as David is, without Goliath, David would have never become king. You follow what I'm saying? So if you got a great challenge in your life right now, be a little bit patient, take a close look at it. Be a little bit patient, take a close look at it. Now, our program producer, Matron Rainbow Farr, has a great challenge in her life right now, a great challenge. And it's a great challenge to all of us as well. But you need great challenges in your life. You do. You don't get wisdom sitting on a park bench. You look like the man that thinks all the time. I'm coming back to that. But this Solomon University teaching and Solomon space is just, I'm thankful to the Lord that he's let me be. He could have given this to some other preacher. God does what he wants to do. Now, here's one other thing about Solomon's space that I want to say to you that I've discovered, get a little bit political here. And that is this, is that Proverbs chapter 3, verse 1 through 20, and especially verse 11, pardon me, verse 11 where it says, despise not, my son, despise not the chastening of the Lord, neither be weary of his correction. I need to make this succinctly said so it can be succinctly and fully understood. But Hamite people, now they call themselves black or African American, for millenniums, that means thousands of years, have despised the fact that Noah chastened Ham and his grandson Canaan. And leave that there, Mr. Engineer. In Genesis chapter, I think it's chapter 9, Genesis chapter 9, verse 24, I believe it is. Let me just quickly find it. There you go, quick on. I'm going to get it in just a moment. Noah chastened his son Ham for uncovering his nakedness. And, Genesis chapter 9, verse 24, Noah awoke from his wine and knew that what his younger son had done unto, and he said, cursed be Canaan, the servant of servants, shall he be unto his brethren. So that Genesis chapter 9, verse 24 was a chastening by Noah of Ham. And the Hamites, to this very day, now that happened thousands of years ago, to this very day, have not accepted that correction. And I think that sometimes people, a few people, and I probably shouldn't give them very much attention, think, well, Pastor Manning, you're saying that you have now discovered that that's what's happening with black people. And yes, that's why they've not made it on the world stage like everybody else. That's why they're still at the bottom of the social register or the world stage. And then there's one other, and I'm coming back to that, the fact that despise not the chastening of the Lord. Despise not that Noah said to Ham that your son Canaan and all black people from now on going to be slaves. Don't despise that. Don't be weary about that. For whom God loveth, he corrected. Let me be more contemporary. I'm coming back to that thing, and I know how difficult that is to grasp when you understand how much water has gone under the bridge of rebellion against that very verse. But let me just say one other thing. From some of my marriage counseling, where I tell the man that's getting ready to marry the young woman, I said, now if you really want to know what she's going to be like, check out how she responds to her father. So when I was dating Elizabeth, I met her parents, and that was good enough. But I wanted to hang around her parents and let her hang around there. So I went over their house and we ate and we sat down and watched. What I wanted to do, I wanted to find out how she responded to her father. I wanted to see what kind of relationship she had with her father. That's why I wanted to check out. I was being nosy, but I didn't tell anybody I was being nosy. Because I understand this. The way she responds to her father is the way she's going to respond to me. That's just how that is. Now, of course, can that change? Can there be a good response that can change and go bad? Of course. Can there be a bad response and change and go good? Yes, of course. But the rule of thumb is you start out with where that relationship between the daughter and the father. That you start out there. Now, it can change, get worse, or get better. When it comes to the marriage situation. So I checked it out. I was watching her for a while. So after I saw how she responded to him over a period of months, I was comfortable. But what I want to further say is this, and this is so critical. When I've had some relationship with the Lord, people don't think very much about him. And again, all the naysayers and doubters, I shouldn't give any credit to. But I believe that this verse, Proverbs chapter 3, is like discovering in a political way, is like discovering the cure for cancer. I really believe that. I believe that discovering that Hamite people have despised what Noah did when he chastened his son Ham in Canaan is like discovering a cure for cancer. And not just that, but many Hamites, some of the Israelites, and not many of them, but they don't even want to be Hamites. They want to try to claim that they're Jews. They want to claim that they're Shem, though nobody's ever served them. But I feel that this whole teaching of Solomon's University, increasing your life by 20%, is like, what they say, well, if you graduate Harvard or Yale or Princeton or Cambridge or Oxford, or, you can write your own ticket in life. And, well, it probably has some merit of truth to that, because if you graduate one of those schools, most people want to hire you because you have demonstrated a great ability of discipline, a great ability of intellect. And so that's already baked into the cake when a man hires you. He knows that you're smart. He knows that you're disciplined. He knows that you got it going on. But I have to tell you that this Solomon's University gives us a far greater opportunity when we look at what Solomon has said. But looking at what Solomon has said, and we now realize that Hamites have despised how Noah chastened Ham. I again, let me restate. To me, it's like discovering a cure for cancer. That's how I feel. Now, you may not agree. You may not think that it's all that important. But for me, it's like discovering a cure for cancer. And then the other thing is this, is that if we make it in a contemporary fashion, if you look at most Hamite people that call themselves black or African American, most Hamites of the last 50 years, up to 60 years of age right now, have been raised in an undisciplined way where they've not been chastened, they have not been corrected. So as a result of that, what little opportunity they had for global, if you will, economic development, global leadership, that too has been lost because they've not been led, they've not been raised by strong fathers that corrected them. So therefore, they have a poor job performance, and it really isn't their fault. They just don't understand. If you let a child grow up the first 15, 16 years of their life, and you don't chasten them, you don't punish them, even to the point where you have to put a rod on their back. Now, years ago, teachers used to have in their classroom a little paddle. And they put that paddle of Johnny's behind, and they had a saying, well, if you don't correct little Johnny now, if you don't correct little Johnny, he's going to grow up to be Big Bad John. But you bring a paddle into school anywhere now, and they will arrest you and put you in the electric chair, because the whole concept now is that you don't punish children. So children grow up without correction. Now, that's in public places, but even in the homes. One of the problems with the Hamite people is 90% of the homes don't have fathers in the homes. That is an epidemic of biblical proportion. When you look out, if a person such as myself, now some of the liberals and all the other crazy white people blamers and pinch-nosed Negroes and house Negroes, well, I don't even talk to them because they're crazy. But when I look out and I see 90% of black children's homes don't have a father, that is a nuclear explosion of trouble, of prison, unemployment, disease, crime. I mean, that is a nuclear explosion when you got that many children growing up without fathers in the home. And that number is accurate. So you can see, even if one was able to understand accepting that Noah chasing his son Canaan, Ham and Canaan, but the very fact that that boy grew up without a father that would discipline him, he doesn't understand when he goes to work, he doesn't understand his role of being subservient and obedient. He doesn't understand that. He doesn't. And you can't, you can't, the first year, 3-4 months on a job, that boss is not going to be able to train that man, that boy, on what he should have been trained the first 17 years of his life. It ain't going to happen. And plus, he's going to reject it. So therefore, he's last employed, first fired, and at some point it becomes an economic catastrophe when you got that many black men who, for the very simple reason, not because white people are racist, but for the very simple reason that he doesn't understand discipline. He doesn't appreciate when he's corrected. He doesn't understand it. So you got this massive unemployment. And when you do employ, when he does stay on a job, it's usually at a low end where you don't have to really bother with him very much. So he's not going to make very much money. So you got this massive economic epidemic among black people where everybody else, even Hispanics and others who there too are Hamite, but they have fathers in the home. And everybody else. And perhaps the greater of the Jewish, you find a Jewish boy growing up without his mother and father in the home is rare. It's like the Queen of India, the Star of India diamond, to find a Jewish boy growing up without his mother and father. They're always there all the time, which then sets that boy in the right direction. But when you look at the explosion, you got all these pinch-nosed Negroes, house Negroes, fools running around here blaming white folk for everything wrong with black folk, when the problem is right there in the home. You got to start in the home. And listen, if you look at the home, if you will, upbringing of everybody that's been shot by the police, black boys, what you're going to find consistently that his daddy didn't raise him. His mama did. So when the police stopped him, and he doesn't understand he's supposed to respond to authority. He doesn't understand, I swear, before God, he doesn't understand. You would better be able to, when the police would ask him to solve the equation of how to get a rocket to space and back, he could probably do that before he can explain to you, I'm supposed to respect authority. He doesn't understand it. Police going to shoot him, going to bust a cap on him. Every one of them. So it's an epidemic. And so someone like myself, I see all these pinch-nosed Negroes, all these house Negroes, all these pimps in the pulpit, all running around here blaming white folks. But that's not the problem. It's nowhere near the problem. It's nowhere near it. But the other dilemma is that even though I'm explaining it right now, those who have not been raised under the biblical despise not the correctioning by your father, those who have not been raised under the power of what Solomon and the wisest man don't even understand what I'm explaining because they don't have the plant bed to understand. Listen, Solomon was the wisest man that ever lived, doggone it. You pinch-nosed Negro, you house Negroes, and pulpit pimps. Solomon was the wisest man that ever lived, and he said, despise not the chastening of the Lord, neither be weary in his correction. Was he wrong? Was he a fool? Who's the fool? You, Mr. House Negro. You, Mr. Pinch-Nose Negro. Who's the fool? You or Solomon? Running around here. White man this, white man that, white man this, white man that. Now you're running around here. The one thing that the white man has done told you to get in bed with another man and then marry him, kiss him and marry him. So I think this matter of Solomon's University to discover that the problem with Hamite people and the difference between them and the Jews is that Hamites despise the fact that Ham was chastened by his father Noah and Canaan and cursed him. And that's never been embraced. If Hamite people, they call themselves black and African American, but if they ever embraced that, it would change the world. It would change the world. You may not be able to see that. You may not understand it. And probably if you did see the potential of it, you would only see the potential of it if it was said from somebody who was also a liar and a trickster. But God ain't gonna give this to them. At any rate, I think I need to take a break. Do you mind if I do that? But when I come back, I want to talk more about the whole business of the 20% increase, how we got to Solomon's University, and how you can actually take charge of your life. You can actually take charge of your life now by laying siege on the why. I tell you what, here, let's do this, all right? Who is the person that you think who's the most important leader right now among Hamite people? The black African American people, that's what they call themselves all the time, Negroes even. Who's the most prominent leader? Let's take, for instance, a guy like Barack Hussein, the long-legged back daddy Obama, right? Look at what Obama says, right, if you're Hamite. Now, if you're Japheth, I'm going to send you over there to Donald Trump, so don't get beside yourself. And then compare the way Solomon says raise children, and that's just one of the aspects of Proverbs chapter 3, and compare to what Obama says. Now, if you put Obama on one page and Solomon on the other page, look at what Solomon says about how to raise children, and look at what Obama says about how to raise children, and you know what you've done? You've chosen what Obama says. You see what I'm saying? Same thing with Tribulation Trump. You do the same thing with Tribulation Trump. Listen, let me just take a break. I'm coming back. I'm going to elongate on that in just a moment. I'll be right back. I'm not through with that subject matter, all right? Solomon's University, everybody. I'm here because I am a roaring lion crying out righteousness. Well, if you have funds to give Christmas gifts, go to the Bethelite Marketplace and do some shopping there at the Bethelite Marketplace and give people gifts from that very, very exclusive website that we have where you can give people some really, really classy antiques and gifts and stuff that just have a lot of meaning to it rather than buying somebody a sweater or a pair of socks, or an umbrella or giving them whatever it is, give them one of these very special gifts we have at the Bethelite Marketplace, right? And the other thing is that we have a lot of china, a lot of tea sets and a lot of beautiful pewter and bowls and glasses and just a lot of beautiful stuff, antiques. And you should buy something just to decorate. Look at those spoons and those pewters, You could buy that collection of pewter cups, or that coffee place, or those spoons, and for Thanksgiving. And really, you bring the people over rather than drinking out those glasses you've been drinking out, or those mayonnaise jars. Y'all don't know what I'm talking. People don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, but imagine setting your Thanksgiving table with those beautiful pewter and that beautiful silverware there, right? And it'll just be a beautiful thing. Oh, this is really nice. And we have beautiful platters and a lot of beautiful decorative bowls. Go to the Bethelite Marketplace. Go to the Bethelite Marketplace for your shopping for Thanksgiving, for your dinner table, and for Christmas. Do that. And not only will you be a blessing by giving somebody something that's really meaningful, that will be around for a while. You give somebody a sweater or a pair of socks, they wear it once, and they'll take it back to the store and change it and get the money, and you won't even know that's what they did. But this is something that can be in family heirloom. You follow? Don't discount the Bethelite Marketplace. Go ahead now and do some shopping there and have a beautiful Thanksgiving. Do some shopping. And now some of those stuff has already been sold, but you'll find out. And you'll have give somebody a beautiful gift, some beautiful jewelry. By the way, look for those women who are on our mailing list outside of New York City and New Jersey. You're going to get, in about a week or so, 2 weeks, you're going to get a beautiful necklace called the Mercy and Truth necklace. But my friends, use the Bethelite Marketplace. That beautiful pewter set of cups will be a great place. You put a little wine in it, put some, iced tea or something in it, Oh, I say you don't drink wine. Okay, all right, okay. Well, Jesus did. Anyway, so this is just some beautiful stuff to make your Thanksgiving dinner, and surely do your Christmas shopping. You'll catch two birds with one net. One is that you'll have a priceless gift that will last for hundreds of years, and you'll also help us fight the foreclosure that is beaming down on us every day as they're trying to take our building. Look at all that beautiful jewelry. That is some really beautiful stuff, really beautiful stones and some great artwork to that. Use the Bethelite Marketplace. Go to our website, click into the Bethelite Marketplace, and you'll be there. All right.
Hi, come in. Since the pandemic, I haven't had any house guests, so I decided to invite a couple of friends over. And guess what? They love the way I've redecorated. What's my secret? Bethelite Marketplace. They have wonderful items such as wall decor and fine china. So if you want to be the talk of the town, go to Bethelite Marketplace. And hurry. Come to Bethelite Marketplace, the one-stop shopping dream.
All right, so here's the question. Well, let me state a question I've asked myself to some degree. What would the world, and I don't mean for this to be a message simply about racism or races. I'm a preacher of righteousness that incorporates everybody, but I want to look specifically at one of the social ills of our planet, and that is the problem with black people and their inability to understand how the world works. Africa, the poorest continent, sickest, less developed, is a reality that I want to address with the scripture, with the word of God, but not to be about racism, as it were. But here, so I raised the question, what would the world be like if there had never been a Dr. King or a social civil rights movement? How would the races would have transitioned from slavery, the curse of Noah upon his son Ham and Canaan? And where we would be. One of the things is that I believe we'd be much better off. That it's probably very difficult for most of you to envision a world without the advent of civil rights. But you have to realize, while a few house Negroes pinch those Negroes, that is to say, those that have made it, done well, are in the minuscule, if you will, minority. The ones that have gone, the prison population increase, the deaths, the children without fathers in the home. There's been an actual flipping. Before civil rights, 90% of fathers were in the homes. After civil rights, 90% of the fathers are out of the homes. That within itself is just enough to say, no, we want to roll the clock back before civil rights, before Dr. King. Before civil rights, maybe 200,000 people in prison all across America. After civil rights, they got more than 3 million black men alone in prison that have been taken out of the neighborhoods and now put in these warehouses called prison. If you roll the clock back, you get maybe 200,000 men in prison, and you get another 2.5 million who are still in the neighborhood, working the stores, taking care of their children, building schools, building communities. And you see, but it's very difficult for people to see that. But here's an example that you're not going to be able to run away with. Those of y'all who, if you're dealing with people who've got this unbiblical point of view, yet they call themselves Christians. Here's what I want to say to you. Who's your favorite Negro, right? Who's your favorite Negro? Barack Hussein Obama. He's a Negro's favorite Negro. He's chief Negro of all Negroes. Barack Hussein Obama, right? Chief Negro. So now, if you compare the teachings of Obama being the chief Negro of Negroes, right, and ask him questions on how do you raise your children, right? Ask him that question. Now we could talk about economics. We could talk about, if you will, financial development. But I don't want to take you too far afield. I just want to put these two people together. Put Obama on one page. Put Solomon on the other page. Solomon says, well, here. Solomon says, my son, forget not the law. Right? That's what Solomon says. Now, Obama, the chief Negro, when he was running for president, remember how he laughed and said, ha, 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 ha. The Bible says to stone your son if he doesn't do the right thing. Who would do that? Ha, ha, ha. Obama laughed. And he also said, and about eating shellfish, you can't eat shellfish. Or the Bible says you can't eat shellfish. Ha, 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 ha. And so you take all Obama's teaching and subject yourself to the chief Negro, Obama, right? Now let's see what Solomon has to say. Solomon says, my son, forget not the law. The law says stone that boy if he ain't got no, he act crazy. Solomon says in Proverbs chapter 3, verse 1, my son, forget not the law. Forget not the law, but let thine heart keep my commandment. Now, Obama laughed at that. He actually laughed. He's a chief Negro, but he laughed at what Solomon said. All right, verse 11 of Proverbs chapter 3, Solomon says, my son, despise not the chastening of the Lord, neither be weary of his correction. Now, Obama says you don't chasten your children. You grow up as their friends. You kind of let them find their way. So here you got two men, right? You got Obama, the chief Negro, and you got Solomon. And I'll tell you this, which one are you following? Which one are you following? You can't serve both. You can't follow both. Now, I'll tell you, most of the, Hamite people, if not all of them, are following Obama. And they have rejected Solomon. But now who's the real fool here? Are you saying that Obama is wiser than Solomon? Is that what you're saying? I mean, you're making a choice. You're choosing Obama over Solomon, the wisest, richest, God-blessed man that ever lived. And we know, I'm just going to stick this, and I know this going to jig. I'm going to jug you with this, and I know I'm jugging you. Solomon know who his daddy was. Obama ain't sure. Solomon know who his mama was. Obama's mama, well, But look at this, and this is really a cameo view of life among black people. They choose Obama over Solomon every time. And it's not enough, because I've been around these black folk, I see them talk. It ain't enough that they choose Obama over Solomon. But they want to kill you if you choose Solomon. If you say, but no, Solomon's wiser than Obama. Solomon blessed of God, the wisest, richest man. I wouldn't even think about I wouldn't have to think about who I'm going to choose between Obama and Solomon. I'm going to choose Solomon. If you talk like that around there, they will kill you, the Obama worshipers. They will. So you see the difficulty. So when God revealed to me that the simplicity of the explanation of why black people are at the bottom of the totem pole, and the world's social totem pole, and they don't understand the world. They never built a seaworthy vessel. There are no major beautiful African skylines of cities, of buildings. There's no major African economic system. It just doesn't. It's non-existent, and the reason being is we can find it in Proverbs chapter 3, starting at verse 1 right down to verse 20, but more poignantly, because all those things, economics and development and becoming a conqueror of the world, is all encompassed or explained in those 20 verses. And then in verse 11, it says that you despise not the chastening of the Lord, which I consider it like discovering a cure for cancer. It is the cure for black people. It is the cure for black people that they finally say, Noah chastened his son Ham and his grandson Canaan, and we accept that as love. That what he said to Ham and Canaan was love. And how he chastened all of us to go through the slavery process was the love of God. Even some of you are having difficulty dealing with that, but that's what Solomon says. And we see it worked out. I guarantee you that the police shootings, the unemployment, when you take 2 million men out of a nation of 30 million people, you take 2 million men away from children and put them in a prison someplace, and they go there not because white people are racist. Listen, during slavery, there were very few black men that ever went to prison. You say, well, because they hung them all. Okay, well, not that. But it was only when this whole business of rebelling and not responding to authority that the prison population for black men exploded. Hamites, Latinos are Hamites as well. We're talking about Hispanic people. They're Hamites as well, but of a different brood. Asian people, Koreans, Chinese, they're Hamites as well. But they have a different structure. Most Latino families have a father in the house. Most. Now, it's getting worse now as it goes along, and some Latinos are now allowing Obama to teach them to be LGBTQ. All that's going on. We know that. But most Asians, if you go to South Korea or North Korea or China, and you find that the father's not, you go to house to house in Hangzhou or Beijing or Shanghai, and in most of those houses, not all of them, you'll find the father there. He's gonna be there. He's gonna be there. Oh, you go to China, you ain't gonna find a whole neighborhood with women raising children. The father don't nobody know where's that. Either in jail, on the street, in drugs, or dead. You ain't gonna find that in China, North Korea. When these people look at us, Hamites, black people, right? My God. You go to China, you ain't gonna find houses after house after house after house after house after house that there's no father there. That only happens with the civil rights people. That only happens with the Obama worshiper. That only happened when the house Negro and the pensioner Negro population. That only happens. You can't find it in India. You can't find it among Latinos. You can't find it among the Chinese. You can't find it nowhere but among black people. Now they're Hamites. And given a chance, they'll choose Obama over Solomon every time. Every time. because they themselves they don't want the biblical authority that Solomon says, put that rod on that boy's back. Now I'm focusing on that, but there's a whole lot more sweeter things, if you will, in the Proverbs chapter 1 verse 20. I wanted to be able to point those things up, but but this would be the economic basis for. I mean, just to get that father back at home, and we would have to, Hamites would have to finally say, okay, what God said in Genesis chapter 9, verse 24 is correct. The chastening was because God loved us. And we're ready to move on. I said the other day, I don't know whether or not, people, I think I've discovered the cure for cancer. I've discovered the cure for racial disparity, for economic depravity. This Proverbs chapter 3 is equivalent to what I've been teaching over the last couple of weeks, is equivalent to discovering the cure for cancer. Cure for cancer of the black man. Now, again, I think most of y'all that listen to me on a regular basis know I'm not here just teaching about black people. I think you know that. Well, I spent a lot of emphasis there. I'm in Harlem, my God, and black people have a lot of problems. I mean, they're the sickest, so you want to attend to people that are sick. But it's not about racism itself. And, the other thing, of course, is that not only, I said a few moments ago, if you put Donald Trump on one page, to give a super white man right now, you put him on one page and put Solomon on one page, there are a whole lot of people would choose Donald Trump over Solomon. I wonder what happened to Robert Jeffress. Remember him, the guy who was Southern Baptist guy, the First Baptist Church of Dallas, Texas, and he out there when Trump was running, and first year or so Trump was president, he was all over the place praising Trump. Haven't heard anything from him in 3 or 4 years because he realized that he chose Trump over Solomon and found out that Trump had conned him and played him. You don't see nothing about them Southern Baptists running behind Trump anymore because they got played. So it shows you that people with church people and pastors of prominence like Robert Jeffress chose Trump over Solomon, knowing that Trump was a hustler. He knew that. But that's human nature. It's baked into the DNA, and it's a part of the process and the appeal of Satan. So this business, this teaching, I feel that it is the cure for cancer. And let me just further state to you, look at people around you, because you interact with a lot of other people, is that right? We focus on Hamites for just a moment. Look at all the Hamite people that would choose Obama in a minute over Solomon. They will. They had no problems choosing Obama, even though he laughed at the scriptures. He laughed at the Old Testament about stoning your son, about eating shellfish. He laughed at that, and yet they chose him. And that may not be a major issue in terms of eating what you eat, but the discipline of your son is very important. But they chose him over what Solomon says or over what Jesus says. So when we consider here that the problem here of a world where we roll back to, let's say, 1871, just to take what we're looking at, 6 years after the slavery and the Emancipation the Proclamation earlier, 2 years earlier, and we develop the Hamite community in America under a total understanding that the slavery was ordered by God as a chastening of Ham and Canaan. Go all the way back to 1871. Go all the way back to 1871, 6 years after slavery, and every black person, a Hamite, a former slave, would see America through the view of the Bible rather than the view of what is now civil rights and rebellion. Imagine, can you imagine what would have happened we would have nearly 150 years of economic development because we're going to learn. It would be tantamount to, well, it took the Jews 40 years after they came out of slavery. It took them 40 years and some really dire consequences and circumstances before they began to jiggy with the word of God, and God had to give them the word as well in the laws of Moses. It took them 40 years. So what it took was about 40 years, and what the Hamite people did, rather than going to the word of God and seeing their experience here in America as slaves, as God chastening Ham and Canaan, and then developing from there along what Solomon would teach, they chose the other road of rebelling against what the word of God says. Now, I don't know if I'm, going too fast or if I'm not taking the time to explain all this in a profitable way, but I can tell you, had they chosen the biblical way, had they chosen Solomon over Obama, Hamite people would be the wealthiest. There's no telling what the level of wealth. I mean, if you look at if you go to Tokyo, Japan, or you go to China, Beijing, and while Chinese people suffered for a long time as poor people, but you go to China now, or even to Europe, the slave master, the slaves could have been greater than the slave master if they'd gone down the right road. Now, God's called me to establish a nation where all of this, what I'm teaching you now, choose Solomon over Obama. Choose Solomon over the house Negro. Choose Solomon over the pensioners Negro. Choose Solomon, choose Solomon, choose Solomon. How well it's received? And to explain also, you see, your economic problem is not white racism. I mean, you could say that the white man does this or that, he doesn't allow money to flow, but you can make your own money if you use the biblical principle. You can make your own money. You can have you don't have to go to his bank if you use the biblical principle. If you use the biblical principles. So for a person such as myself who's been called to establish Atla, in a nutshell definition, I have been called to ask people to choose Solomon over Obama. That's in a cameo, if you will, explanation of what Atla is all about and why I teach what I do and how I teach. Choose Solomon and chasten your son. Chasten him. Choose Solomon and love the law. Love the Old Testament. Love every last word of it. Choose Solomon. My son, forget not the law, for length of days and long life it shall be given to you. And forget not, let not mercy and truth forsake thee, but bind it about thy neck. And thou shalt find favor and good understanding with men and with God. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart. Lean not to thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your path. My son, my son, my son. That is what I have been called to implement, and reason why God has given me 16 years of teaching one chapter. 16 years of teaching just one chapter, and we're just beginning to scratch the surface. We've just now, after 16 years, been allowed into the graduate school of Solomon's University in Solomon's Space. And I'm going to remain faithful, of course. I'm going to remain faithful mainly because I love God. That's primary. And he asked me to do it. I don't want to disappoint him. God asked me to teach Atla, sent me here to Harlem, cry loud and spare not, tell the truth, even if my mama hates me. Don't even blink at that. Let her hate me all she wants. But I'm going to be faithful to God. I'm going to do exactly what he tells me to do. And I'm not going to turn to the right nor to the left. God sent me on an assignment. I'm not going to disappoint him. I'm going to establish Atla. But the other thing is this, is that I love my brethren too. And I see, oh man, you're in such pain. And you don't have to be there. You don't have to be in prison. You don't have to have your children raised in shelters. You don't have to be gay. You don't have to be that way, brother. And you're in pain. You're sick. You're living at the bottom of the world social register. 90% of y'all are unemployed. And the other 5% are unemployable. You don't have to be that way, brother. And because I love him, I'm gonna take all the heat that's thrown at me, even if my mama spit on me, because of the things I teach that's so contrary to blackness and ignorance and foolishness and churchianity and religiosity. And I rebuke it up and down Main Street. I'm going to serve the Lord. I ain't going to turn to the right nor to the left till I can get my brother out of this position of being the lowest person on the planet. He's the last thing on the planet. He's got the poorest nation, called himself Africa, come from the poorest continent the world has ever seen. Nobody's seen nothing like the poverty. He called himself Africa. No, I ain't going to give up on it. I'm going to help him. I'm James David Manning, everybody. I'm the Lord's servant.
It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. So what does that mean? It's time to purchase your Christmas gifts from BetheliteMarketplace.org, where we have fine china, beautiful glassware, unique dishes and vases, musical instruments, jewelry that is sure to make you dazzle, wonderful apparel, and so much more. So, hurry today and place your order and enjoy a 50% off for a limited time. 'Tis the season to purchase your gifts from Bethelite Marketplace. Call 877-777-0734 and place your order today.
I'm the Lord's servant. I'm asking now is to give truth a chance. All I've ever told anybody is the truth. Now, just because you didn't understand it doesn't mean it's not true. And I'm asking people to give truth a chance.
All around, you hear the lies being told from the top. Every time you turn around, it just don't seem to stop. When you're ready to move far beyond that same old dance, all you gotta do is listen, yeah, and give truth a chance. Give truth a chance. Everybody, give truth a chance. Come on and sing it. Give truth a chance. Give truth a chance.
I'm here because I am a roaring lion crying out righteousness. Welcome, everybody, to the Manning Report. I am Manning, the quintessential American, broadcasting from our studio located in our church building, and our church building is located in community formerly known as Harlem. But God Almighty has changed the name of this community to Atla. That's what God said, the land where the people shall walk barefoot because the land is holy ground. French President Macron is in the U.S., and he's now at the White House with Joe Biden, my time Biden, and are they putting on the big dog down there for the French president? And they are going to have a big state dinner tonight. I understand they're going to be eating outside under a tent. What's the temperature like in South Carolina today, Sister King? Because it's cold up here in New York. And I suppose that, Washington, D.C. is only a couple of miles south of New York City. So they're going to have a meeting out there under a tent with the French president. And so at any rate, Joe Biden's all ears and grin here, and Dr. Jill Biden, and I think President Macron's wife is Brigitte, not Bridget, but Brigitte. You gotta say it like French people, Brigitte. Anyway, so listen, you may have been wondering, who is Nick Fuentes, right? Who is Nick Fuentes? Who is this person that showed up with Kanye West? If you're not, politically savvy, if you're not up on the whole lot of stuff that's going on, because he's not necessarily a favorite of both either Fox media or conservative media or liberal media. So I'm going to let you hear some of his statements in just a moment. But I have also a question about, hearing Kanye West. But in the event you're not aware of Nick Fuentes, first of all, he's only 24, 25 years of age, right? He's got some pretty strong ideas. And he's very popular among a whole lot of people that I don't think most of the liberal world is paying any attention to. But at any rate, Mr. N.J., could you bring him up for a moment? Just let us listen to some of the things that he says, what he believes. And then we can kind of talk about him after on the other side of his expressing of himself. Here he is, Nick Fuentes, everybody.
When you look at it's popular. People like abortion, hate it, but it's true. And you can thank the Jewish media for that. Abortion's popular. Sodomy's popular. Being gay is popular. Being a feminist is popular. Sex out of wedlock is popular. Contraceptives that's all popular. That's not to say it's good. That's not to say I like that. Popular means the people support it, which they do. And it sucks, and it is what it is, but that's why we need dictatorship. That's unironically why we need to get rid of all that. We need to take control of the media or take control of the government and force the people to believe what we believe. Here's the pathway. We have one more election where white people can make the decision. The white people got to make the right decision, and then Trump's got to get in there and never leave. That, to me, at this point, is a pathway. It's time to shut up, elect Trump one more time, and then stop having elections. We have got to talk about the fundamentals of our worldview and what it would look like to build a society based on our distinct worldview. It looks like a society where women don't have the right to vote. And it looks like a society where boys and girls get married as teenagers and start having kids, and they don't use birth control, and they don't use contraceptives, and they have big families and a high birth rate. And it looks like women wearing veils at church, and it looks like women not being in the workforce. Banning gay marriage is back on the menu. Banning sodomy is back on the menu. Banning contraceptives is back on the menu. And basically, we're having something like Taliban rule in America in a good way. We're having something like a Catholic Taliban rule in America. Who cares? You know, enough with the Jim Crow stuff. Who cares? Oh, they had to drink out of a different water fountain. Big deal. Oh no, they had to go to a different school. Their water fountain in that famous picture was worse. Who cares? Grow up. Drink out of the water fountain. It's water. It's the same. You know, and, you know, even if it was bad, who cares? Who cares? It's better. It's better in general. We all agree.
Taliban rule in America. No women in the workplace. Donald Trump winning and becoming a dictator and never leaving. Guy holds some pretty far out views. But he's extremely popular among a large segment of Japheth America. And he, of course, blamed the Jews and many of his statements for pornography, for sodomy, and also for same-sex marriages, that he believes that were it not for Jewish influence and Jewish money, he believes wholeheartedly that you wouldn't see pornography. There wouldn't be that they're the producers of it. They got them studios. They know how to make movies. And also that they promote sodomy. They promote that as well. And they promote same-sex marriages. So, you know, if you didn't know who Nick Fuentes, now you know who he is. My next question, of course, and of course I don't agree with a large number of things that he says. That should be clear. But my next question is that how did he and Kanye West hook up? How did the two of them? Did he call Kanye? Did Kanye call him? Did they know each other previously before Tuesday night dinner at Mar-a-Lago? Were they friends? That background has not been explored by either media source so far, but I would be interested in the building of their relationship because Kanye is a lot older than this guy. Kanye is a billionaire, and this guy is probably just, living from hand to mouth. Who hooked them up? Who brought them together? I think beyond, if you ask me as a person, if I'm a journalist or a political person, I would be more concerned about not that Donald Trump brought them together. Now, if Trump is the one that brought them together, then we have a situation going on in America that is fatalistic. And there will be a dictator over America if Trump brought them together. Now, if someone else brought them together, we don't know who, somebody from maybe, Stuart Rhodes or someone else who is within the segment of America that's had it with, to use the analogy of Dave Chappelle and Nick Fuentes and Kanye West, Kanye West said he's going to DEFCON 3 on the Jews. That we're looking at a situation now, if who brought them together would be I'd be more interested in that, and rather than Trump having dinner with them, as somehow that was scurrilous, or that it was racist, or that it was, that it was what it was. I think that might be something that you'll look at on the minor, if you will. But on the minor part of who brought Fuentes and Kanye West together, who organized that, and then was able to pull the strings to get them into Mar-a-Lago. Now, Trump may have said he didn't know who Fuentes was or is, so I don't think that he may have organized it. Somebody organized it for him. And if whoever organized it for him is thinking that perhaps Trump can win the 2024 election. And by the way, I'm going to do another segment on Trump and another block about Trump in the 2024 election. If he does win, he will stay in office until he's 100 years old. So I think where the mainstream media needs to go, and Fox News, is to find out who called that dinner date together. That will give us some sense. And something, just to say this as well, this is an addendum. I am not in a godly or proud way, but I am amazed at the fact that Kyrie Irving, Kanye West, and others are standing up to Jewish power, standing up to Jewish money. And as I said before, I'm a Zionist, so I'm not anti-Jewish, anti-Semitic. I'm a Zionist, so I'm amazed. Normally, people don't get in the Jews' face and call them names and cause all kind of blame. Nobody does. The last person did that was, with Jesse Jackson, and he got ran out of town on a rail. I'm amazed. I'm not to see how my young black men like Kyrie and Kanye, and I'm sure there are others as well, that are getting in the Jews' face up in there and saying what they're saying. This is something's going on. Something's going on, because you don't do that to Jewish people. You just don't do it. Not if you're black. So, and I'm not here supporting Kanye West or Kyrie Irving or Nick Fuentes. I'm not here supporting them. But he believes we should have a dictator in America. We believe that women should be put back in the house. Teenagers should get married and start having babies and have large families. There's no contraceptions. That guy's out there. That guy's way out there. That actually, this is the way Muslims live. That's how, what's going on in Iran, Afghanistan, Pakistan right now. Well, we'll see. I'm going to come back to that in another way in my next block, but anyway, take me out of this, Mr. Engineer. I'll be right back, everybody. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. I'm here because I am a roaring lion crying out, righteousness. Well, if you have funds to give Christmas gifts, go to the Bethelite Marketplace and do some shopping there at the Bethelite Marketplace and give people gifts from that very, very exclusive website that we have, where you can give people some really, really classy antiques and gifts and stuff that just have a lot of meaning to it, rather than buying somebody a sweater or a pair of socks, or an umbrella, or giving them whatever it is, give them one of these very special gifts we have at the Bethelite Marketplace, right? And the other thing is that we have a lot of china, a lot of tea sets, and a lot of beautiful pewter and bowls and glasses, and just a lot of beautiful stuff, antiques. And you should buy something just to decorate. Look at those spoons and those pewters. You could buy that collection of pewter cups, or that coffee place, or those spoons, and for Thanksgiving. And really bring the people over, rather than drinking out those glasses you've been drinking out of those mayonnaise jars. Y'all don't know what I'm talking. People don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, but imagine setting your Thanksgiving table with those beautiful pewter and that beautiful silverware there, right? And it'd just be a beautiful thing. Well, this is really nice. And we have beautiful platters and a lot of beautiful decorative bowls. Go to the Bethelite Marketplace. Go to the Bethelite Marketplace for your shopping for Thanksgiving, for your dinner table, and for Christmas. Do that. And not only will you be a blessing by giving somebody something that's really meaningful, that will be around for a while. You give somebody a sweater or a pair of socks, they wear it once, and they'll take it back to the store and change it and get the money, and you won't even know that's what they did. But this is something that can be in family heirloom. You follow? Don't discount the Bethelite Marketplace. Go ahead now and do some shopping there. and have a beautiful Thanksgiving. Do some shopping, and now some of those stuff has already been sold, but you'll find out, and you'll have give somebody a beautiful gift, some beautiful jewelry. By the way, look for those women who are on our mailing list outside of New York City and New Jersey. You're going to get, in about a week or so, 2 weeks, you're going to get a beautiful necklace called the Mercy and Truth necklace. But my friends, use the Bethelite Marketplace. That beautiful pewter set of cups will be a great place. You put a little wine in it, put some, iced tea or something in it, Oh, I say you don't drink wine. Okay, all right, okay. Well, Jesus did. Anyway, so this is just some beautiful stuff to make your Thanksgiving dinner, and surely do your Christmas shopping. You'll catch two birds with one net. One is that you'll have a priceless gift that will last for hundreds of years, and you'll also help us fight the foreclosure that is beaming down on us every day as they're trying to take our building. Look at all that beautiful jewelry. That is some really beautiful stuff, really beautiful stones, and just some great artwork to that. Use the Bethelite Marketplace. Go to our website, click into the Bethelite Marketplace, and you'll be there. All right.
Hi, come in. Since the pandemic, I haven't had any house guests, so I decided to invite a couple of friends over. And guess what? They love the way I've redecorated. What's my secret? Bethelite Marketplace. They have wonderful items such as wall decor and fine china. So if you want to be the talk of the town, go to Bethelite Marketplace. And hurry. Come to Bethelite Marketplace, the one-stop shopping dream.
All right, let me tell you why I prefer Herschel Walker over Raphael Warnock. And the election is going to happen next Tuesday, dating this message to serve a 6-year term in the United States Senate, representing the state of Georgia. And Herschel Walker, of course, is the Republican candidate who got about 48% of the vote in the first election, and Raphael Warnock got 49 point something percentage of the vote. So they didn't, you know the deal. So Georgia has a rule that if you don't get 50%, you have to have a runoff. So that now there's a runoff. The election is going to take place, and on next Tuesday, and more than $300 million has been spent between both of these candidates. Most of it spent by Raphael Warnock and television ads and promoting. But let me tell you why I prefer. First of all, let me say this about Herschel Walker. I'm no fool. The man is completely and totally and absolutely, without a doubt, unqualified to be a senator. He just is, and that's not a put down. That there are just some things that people are not qualified to do. He is. I mean, I think he's a media type person. I think he can handle that. But he's and in a good way, he's not a politician. He isn't. He's unqualified. I just don't. I don't think that Herschel Walker should be trusted with the responsibility of world leadership. He does. He was a great football player. We loved him when he ran that football through the goal line. And still do remember those fond days of field football. But I don't think he's qualified. And the other thing is, however, but I would prefer him over Raphael Warnock, and I'm going to tell you why in just a moment. And a part of that reason why is that the racists, black racists, people like Van Jones, Eddie Glaude, all these talking heads on television with black faces and horsehair, these women with this horsehair, red horsehair, black horsehair all the way down there, these black faces, these women, right? And then you got people like Van Jones, ain't got no hair. And then you got that boy out there who works for the Los Angeles Times, who's a homosexual, got all them dreads in his hair. Black people in hair, I do tell you the truth. If you want to know, anyway, that's another subject. But they say, well, he can't represent us. First of all of them are liberals, as he can possibly be, Democrats, but they say, Van Jones said he's not a good representation of us as black people, so he shouldn't, he shouldn't be senator. It's racist. It's very racist. Even though they don't belong, Herschel Walker does not belong to the Van Jones party. But the other thing is that Raphael Warnock is going to push America into further decline and push the peach state of Georgia. But with his vote, and he's going to vote with Joe Biden. He's going to vote for same-sex marriages, preservation. He's going to vote for all of the things that are scurrilous. In another segment earlier, I was doing a thing in the Trust of the Lord where I said, would people choose Obama over Solomon, King Solomon of the Bible, son of David, son of Jesse? And these Hamite people, black people, they would choose Obama. They would. So Raphael Warnock is a train wreck. He is a disaster waiting to happen. And plus, they're going to give Chuck Schumer a little bit more power on committees, and they're going to run amok. We won't recognize America. But I will say that thank God for this, that we're going to see a revolution in America once Kevin McCarthy takes over the House, as narrow as it might be. We're going to see Matthew's Gospel, chapter 24, the tribulation verse about 7 of nation against nation, kingdom against kingdom, like we've never seen before, like we have never ever seen this kind of activity before, and so I'll get to that also in a different block. But the other thing about Raphael Warnock is he represents Barack Hussein Obama. In fact, Barack Hussein, the long-legged Mac Daddy Obama, is down there in Georgia now campaigning for him. And by the way, what is it with Obama not putting on a jacket anymore? Doesn't wear a tie anymore. He rolls up his sleeves like he's a working man. What the hell is he trying to do? Who's he trying to impress? What is this? What a phony he is. I mean, he passed himself off as black. He's a phony black. What a phony. You see Obama now? No jacket. Got his sleeve. Who the hell is he trying to? Where did he pick that up from? Jim Jordan or somebody? What is it with Obama? No tie, no shirt, rolled up. What a phony he is. If I've ever seen what's he trying to pass himself off as a working man or something? What is that? What a phony. Or doesn't want to wear a jacket because it might make him look like a man. What's he want to do? Put on a damn bra or something? What is it with this boy? What a phony. Look at that. No, so he's down there now campaigning for Raphael Warnock. Lord have mercy, Jesus Christ of Nazareth and Mary, the Virgin Mary. So Raphael Warnock, if he gets, and it looks like I don't know who's going to win, quite frankly. I don't think it's a done deal that Warnock is going to win, because people feel the same way that I do, even though I don't think he's qualified. Put him in there anyway to stop, if you will, Chuck Schumer and Barack Hussein, the long-legged Mac Daddy Obama. Put him in there anyway. And maybe, who knows? He might get schooled once it goes, once he gets to Congress, to Senate, he might get schooled. I don't know if he's going to make it, quite frankly. I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't know if he's going to be able to get that far. But he might change once he gets there. They might be able to school him and change him. But it doesn't look too good right now. And black people down there in the state of Georgia are voting up a storm. I mean, you should see them. Over 300,000 people have been coming out since Saturday, voting every day, voting for this guy, Raphael Warnock. So at any rate, I wanted to be able to express the fact that we are in the period of Matthew's Gospel, chapter 24, the tribulation of nation against nation. And what we see right now is Obama is supporting Raphael Warnock and Donald Trump is supporting Herschel Walker. So we see Obama and Trump fighting one another. And neither one of these are a preference for mine. Neither, but who knows it looks like, well, if Obama wins, then, the phony wins. But we'll see. We will see. Let me turn a corner. I want to raise another question before I go to another break, and that is that here's some things I want to just suggest because I don't think that we really and fully understand the dynamics. And I don't think the news people, as I raised the question, who put together Nick Fuentes and Kanye West, who did that? And why is it now that you got young black men like Kanye West and Kyrie Irving and a whole lot of others who haven't stepped out on the stage are publicly, fully denouncing Jews in a public way? I don't think we realize all of the storm clouds that are brewing. But here, if Obama is indicted, now Merrick Garland took a victory lap. Y'all see him yesterday? He took a victory lap yesterday, touting how, what a great job the Department of Justice did in convicting Stuart Rhodes and a bunch of other, if you will, oath keepers in a trial this week. He was out there just and saying that people are going to be held accountable, which seemed like me, it seemed like he was signaling to Obama, we're coming for you next. So if Obama's indicted, here's some things I believe is going to take place. If Obama is indicted, I don't think he's going to surrender. If Obama's indicted, the indictment comes down, and Obama's in Mar-a-Lago, I'm not suggesting any of this. I'm not stirring up any riots or trying to be a troublemaker of sorts. But what my ear to the drum, I think that you would have a whole lot of FBI agents who wouldn't go to arrest him and might try to stop the ones that would go. I think if Obama's indicted in the state of Florida, you have a whole lot of Florida state troopers that will probably stand out in front of Obama's house in Mar-a-Lago and say, y'all ain't coming in here. Get the hell away from me. By the way, hell is in the Bible. I mean, if Obama's indicted, I don't think he's going to surrender. I don't think he's going to get him. I think there'd probably be a Mexican standoff, try just to get him arrested. That's Obama said. I should have said Trump. I say, well, let me back on it. Can I roll up? Listen. It was the same thing would be true with Obama if he was in there. But it's a long week. It's been a very long week. If Trump is indicted, let's get started. What's going on over here? Let's start all over again. If Trump is indicted, I don't believe the FBI agents, there'd be some that would not go to arrest him. And as I said earlier about Obama, that there would not be people that would, some of the FBI agents would try to stop the FBI agents that would go to arrest Trump if Trump is indicted. And I don't think he would surrender. If Trump is indicted, I don't think that you could ever have a trial. You may could try to have one in absentia. I think it would start, and I'm not trying to stir up trouble. I'm not trying to be a troublemaker, and I don't have this as an absolute. I'm just, my ear to the ground about what's going on in America right now says that they would never get Trump in handcuffs. They would never get him in a courtroom. And I think that it would cause an immediate separation of authorities of the police, FBI, CIA, Homeland Security, and Secret Service. I think you find a quick, if you will, dissolution. And that they'll say, no, you're not going to take him. You're not going to, this is a real dilemma. And not because I'm supporting Trump. I'm not. Not because I'm trying to stir up trouble. I'm not trying to do that either. I'm just saying that I just don't see Trump standing in a courtroom, letting the judge read some charges and ask him if he's guilty or not guilty, standing beside some shyster lawyer. Shyster lawyer. Not all lawyers. Well, anyway, I don't see it. I'll tell you what, if Trump is indicted, immediately people are going to come to his rescue. That's what I'm trying to say. They're not going to let it happen. They're not going to let you do it. Peter let Caiaphas and the boys arrest Jesus. Peter, first of all, when they came to arrest Jesus, now I'm not comparing Donald Trump to Jesus. Good Lord have mercy. Anyway, I think that there are going to be people saying, no, you're not going to do this. This is it. You're not going to arrest Trump. You can indict him or you won't, but you ain't going to arrest him. And at that point, America splits and divides, and there'll be no putting the Humpty Dumpty back together again. I think Trump knows that. But here's something perhaps you've not thought about. If Trump is indicted and potentially he does get arrested, Kim Jong-un is going to attack South Korea. Kim Jong-un needs South Korea. He needs to go down there. He needs that for his people, to feed his people. You know, he needs Kim Jong-un is a young man on the political stage. He's probably the youngest of world leaders right now. And he's on a political stage. He's got China by the keisters. But if he could take South Korea, while America is now at civil war because of the arrest of Tribulation Trump, he's going to go down and he's going to take South Korea. And America's going to be too embroiled in her own problems to say we're going to send forces to protect South Korea. They ain't going to be able to do that. The America, you can't even get the army will be in a disarray. The economy of America will be in disarray. And Kim Jong-un could just march over the 38th parallel down into South Korea. And the soldiers, I think we have a couple 100,000 soldiers, I think. Maybe not that many. That's in Korea or stationed off the Isle of Korea. But I think that Kim Jong-un will wipe them out in 2 minutes. And not just that, but China. See, when America's got all these problems, that they went to arrest the former president, FBI agents fighting the FBI. There's internal fighting. There's all kind of stuff going on. People have shut down businesses. Banks have shut down. America got this turmoil going on. It'd be a great time for Kim Jong-un to take South Korea and for China to take Taiwan, because America will be too embroiled in her own problems to try to go solve the problems of the world. And I think Russia will set off a nuke in Ukraine and tell Zelensky, come out that hiding hole, and I'm taking Ukraine, and then nobody will be able to do anything about it. That will be, that's the strategy that would be, and I think the world, and I think that the other thing is that whether it happens this way or not, I think that something of this order is going to take place because Jesus prophesied it. Something of this order is going to take place if Trump gets indicted. And Merrick Garland, trotted out yesterday, like, Trump, we're coming for you. We got your boy, Stuart Rhodes, we're coming for you next. So I suspect that, if I can turn a corner for just a second, I suspect that the liberal media is secretly supporting Herschel Walker. I'll come back to that. I'm going to take a break, but I want to tell you why I believe that as well. And I don't think America is ready. I don't think anybody is ready. If you have not given yourself over to study of the tribulation, I don't think anybody on the planet is ready for what's going to happen in the year 2023. But I'll be back. I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. Over the years, we have served more than 1 million meals to hungry bellies and hungry people here in the Harlem community. And I wanted you to be able to see that. I want you to see our involvement with youth, our summer youth programs, our courtyard being used as a place where children can be safe, guarded, and protected as they have their miniature swimming pools. And a safe place for children to eat that is guarded, that is protected by our own sense of security, and the wholesome and fresh meals that we serve. We wanted you to be able to see the mission of this church. And we've been doing this for years. Just recently, one of our members, more than a 30-year member of this church, but it hasn't, not one that that you would probably find as members of some other churches with their nose stuck up in the air. But her father is now close to death or very sick in the state of South Carolina. And I said to her, well, because she doesn't have money. I said, we will buy you a bus ticket, a round trip bus or train ticket for you to travel to South Carolina to be with your father in this time of pandemic. There's very little funding around. There's sickness everywhere. And the thing that just blew me away was she said, as she was talking to Elizabeth, she said, but how are you going to do that, to pay for me a round trip ticket to travel and give me expense money? And because Pastor Manning has to feed the children, he has to educate the children, he has to buy school supplies for them, he has to pick them up in the mornings and take them back, and then he's got the ministry he has to take care of, all the bills of running the church, of keeping a major house like our house operational, keep the lights on, how are you going to be able to do that? And she was almost reluctant to take the money because she felt that it would be better served by feeding the children. We gave it to her anyway. But we want you to know that we do a work in this community. There have been a lot of lies told on us. And it's almost unimaginable why some of the people that have lied on us. But I can tell you, behind all of it is the LGBTQ community. They don't want us to be successful, but we are, and we're going to continue to be successful in serving the meals that we're serving and serving the people that we are. And the LGBTQ community will not take us down. They are not going to take our church. Yet they have defamed us. They've written ugly newspaper articles about us. They've marched against us. They've done a whole lot of ugly things. But you see what we have done, and that's not even the half of our service to children and to the needy in terms of our homeless shelters and the things that we've done over the years. And we will continue. And probably the lies and the smears and the ugly newspaper articles and the wicked spirits and the so-called I ain't for the black man, that is not going to go away. I don't expect it to go away. I don't. But I do tell you this, that we will succeed against all of that, for God is with us and I am his servant.
It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. So what does that mean? It's time to purchase your Christmas gifts from BetheliteMarketplace.org, where we have fine china, beautiful glassware, unique dishes and vases, musical instruments, jewelry that is sure to make you dazzle, wonderful apparel, and so much more. So, hurry today and place your order and enjoy a 50% off for a limited time. 'Tis the season to purchase your gifts from Bethelite Marketplace. Call 877-777-0734 and place your order today.
All right, so in our last segment, I raised the issue that I suspect that the liberal media is secretly supporting Governor of the state of Florida, Ron DeSantis. And not that they want him, they're secretly supporting him because they want him to run for president in the 2024 election. They believe he has a very strong chance of outrunning Trump. They believe that Trump has a lot of baggage, and the 2022 midterm may have brought Trump down a buttonhole lower in terms of the major loss, because that was supposed to have been a blowout victory for the Redskins or the Republicans, and they did not succeed at that. And a number of the candidates that Trump endorsed, such as Dr. Oz and a bunch of others, lost. And they didn't win the House by the number of votes they thought that they would. And I'm going to cover that in another block. But I think that the liberal media, because they're sneaky, you can't trust them. All the MSNBC, CNN, they're sneaky as dogs. I think they're trying to promote Ron DeSantis and lift him up so he can fight. They want him to fight Trump. And I don't know if DeSantis is going to take the bait. I think, the temptation of wanting to be the president of the United States of America is very, very tempting. I don't know if I would want that. I don't think I would. But it's very tempting, and men go crazy over it. I mean, Mike Pence sold his soul. Listen, Ted Cruz let Donald Trump call his wife ugly and his father a liar, and call Ted Cruz a liar himself because he wants to be president. So you got to take all that slop, you got to take all that garbage if you want to be president. You can't say anything. I don't know that I would even want to be president. But there are people who will sell their souls to become president. So Ron DeSantis may let the liberal media talk him into, and the liberal posters talk him into running up against Trump. I think if it does, Trump going to run over him. Well, you don't know. It depends on how effective they are, because there are a lot of never Trumpers out there as well. But I want to go back to the point, to the issue I was discussing in the previous segment, when I said if Trump is indicted. But what happens if Trump is not indicted? That might be a better question, might be a smarter question. And right now, it's not settled law as to who or what will happen. Will he be indicted or will he not be indicted? But if Trump is not indicted, he's going to be president and dictator for life. That's for sure. Will the trade-off be this? Don't indict Trump. Just kind of walk away from all the charges against him. Because if he is indicted, Kim Jong-un is going to attack South Korea. Xi Jinping is going to attack Taiwan. Russia is going to set off a nuke. And the world's going to go up in explosion if he is indicted. Because America will be too embroiled. Because there are people that love Trump to the point they ain't going to let you take him to jail. They're not going to do it. They're not going to let you take Chip. They're not going to let people put handcuffs on Trump. They ain't going to do it. You can talk about it, you can say this, and at least that appears that way. Now, things can change. Things could change. This is not hard and fast. But right now, the sentiments in America is that there are a group of people who are not going to let you put handcuffs on Trump. So if he's not if the powers that be look and say, listen, if we indict Trump, it's going to start World War III, not with America, but other nations are going to be running, realize that we do not have the backbone, we do not have the ability right now to defend South Korea or anybody else, or Taiwan, anybody else right now. It's going to be a free-for-all out there, especially out there in Asia and in Africa, in Russia too, if he's not indicted. But I think that the liberal media is supporting Ron DeSantis. But if you don't indict Trump, he's going to be reinstated. Kevin McCarthy is going to, Marjorie Taylor Greene is going to say, Kevin McCarthy, you reinstate Trump, and of course you'd have to get the Senate to pass it. But you might be able to get, with Joe Manchin and with some other sleeper senators, in the Senate, that might vote, to get him reinstated. And there won't be a 2024 election. There's a lot ahead of us. I'm trying to say that I don't think, how can I say this? Because I don't want to misrepresent God. People aren't ready for what's going to happen in 2023. They think, well, there'll probably be some skirmishes here, there'll be this, that, and that. But people aren't ready for the hell that has been announced and prophesied by Jesus. They're not ready for it. There's probably nothing you could do to help people get ready for what's getting ready to happen. All you have to do is just look at what's happening with Republicans and Democrats. You got people like Kanye West standing up in the face of Jews. You got somebody like Nick Fuentes, publicly now is getting aired on major networks that Jews are responsible for promoting pornography, promoting homosexuality, promoting sodomy, which is the same thing. That I don't think that, when I was a young man, I wanted to know what happened in Germany with Adolf Hitler, so I read that long book, that big book by William L. Scheer called The Rise and Fall of the Third Reich. Germans didn't realize what was going on. They just didn't. And when they did realize what was going on, they accepted it. I mean, and then England at the time, and Churchill, it wasn't the prime minister of England at the time. England realized what was going on in Germany, this major change in politics towards Jews and world domination by Hitler, but did nothing. England did nothing. They let it happen. And I see people. This time next year, first day of December. This time next year, most people that the world is going to be so changed by this time next year in terms of the political turmoil, the economy, that the system is just going to break down. And this is prophesied by Jesus. Jesus prophesied that the system is going to be non-functional. And everybody who thinks they got it going on now, even the billionaires now, you better learn how to, we got a diamond ring. Bob Dylan said, you better pawn it, babe. Even billionaires are going to be walking the street barefoot, not because of outlaw righteousness, mind you. What I'm trying to say is that most people do not recognize the prophecy of Jesus is upon us. And the other item, of course, is that they don't recognize it because he won't let them recognize it. Most people don't realize that Obama represents Satan. And by the way, I was saying in one of my segments regarding my being an oath keeper, that the election was stolen from Hillary Clinton. It was. Twice stolen from Hillary Clinton. I even, spotted perhaps that Hillary may run again for, against Trump. That I'm simply the thing of it is that people aren't going to pay attention to what I'm saying. That's what they're going to watch Fox News, listen to Tucker Carlson, and they're going to watch CNN and listen to Anderson Cooper or somebody. Or watch MSNBC and listen to Rachel Maddow, but they're not going to pay attention to what Jesus said. They just aren't going to pay attention to it. And one final thing, if you don't mind, this is an addendum or turning of a corner. If I could just talk to you for just a moment, if you don't mind, I promise I'll be gone in about another 10 minutes. I'll be out of here. I'll be out of your way. But I've never. Where I am at right now in terms of a theological position, a spiritual place, I don't know that I could have written the script. Generally, if you would ask me when I first started out in ministry, I would have told you, well, you got to have a mega church with a whole lot of members all over everywhere. Lines are around the church trying to get in. You got to have 2 or 3 Rolls Royces and wealth and power and mansions and all that kind of thing, and everybody saying good things about you. Not that I would want that, mind you, when I was just a youngster, but that is what was portrayed as success and the presence of God. Now, mind you, I'd met the Lord Jesus Christ. I'm an ex-convict who worked on the chain gang, so that wasn't. But that's what the world presented. And the more I read the Bible and preached, and the more I prayed, I discovered that was definitely going in the wrong direction. Anybody that goes in that direction is going in the wrong direction. There's nobody in the Bible like that. Nobody in the Bible like that. Nobody. Like what the world was projecting. But what I want to try to say, what I'm trying to get at is this, is that I've come to a place of late. I mean, I've been in many platforms and many tiers of my life and my ministry. I'm a broadcaster. That I am. That I know. I've been a broadcaster from my youth. I went down to Dallas, Texas several years ago, I don't know, 20 years ago. The preacher, my nephew was getting married to a preacher's daughter. And he called me down there to Dallas, and he had me preach a sermon at the wedding. Stopped the wedding, the bride sat down, the groom sat down, I got up in the pulpit and I preached at a wedding. And I told the preacher, the congregation, that I'm a teacher. That's what I do. I'm a broadcaster, I'm a teacher, and I'm a servant of the Lord. But what I want to try to say, when I'm not beating around the bush, I'm just trying to make it plain, is that I never dreamed that I'd have the kind of relationship with the Lord God Almighty that I have. I didn't know it was possible. I didn't know it was possible, even though I met the Lord Jesus Christ back in July of 1976. But recently, once God gave me that vision, 31 years ago, it took off. The love that I have for God's people cannot be measured by any kind of a square root equation. There is no astrophysicist that can measure the love I have for my God and for my people. I'm sure there are lots of people that have given their lives for the cause that they believe in. Dietrich Bonhoeffer, in his book, Cost of Discipleship, they hanged him because of his belief, his love for his nation. And I understand that. I understand that clearly. But I can match him on that love. I can match him on that love. But what I want to say is that I'm at a place that I know that most people ain't gonna never get to. And if there's any downside to what I'm saying about where I'm at with the Lord, is that I also see that most people are just not going to understand it. They're not going. They are very carnal, and like I was, they measure the worth of God on how long the Rolls Royce is, or how big the private plane is, or how big the mansion is. That's how 99.99% of Christians measure the worth of God. I thought that the lesson I taught recently about who would people choose, Obama or Solomon, and people would, hands down, would choose Obama over Solomon without even thinking about it. I thought that was brilliant. Well, when God said to me that, despise not the chastening of the Lord, and what black people have done over the eons, if they have despised, ignored the chastening that Noah, the righteous man, did to his son Ham and Canaan, which cast black people or Hamites into slavery. They've despised it. And the fact that we're looking at an entire nation of people in America, black people, who loathe the idea of authority, and they don't even understand that, they don't know it. And so that's why they can't advance, they can't build an economic structure. And the scream that Chinese or Koreans or Indians in India, the subcontinent of India, would look at the black man's family, and 90% of the homes don't have a man in there, and thusly the prisons are filled because they don't understand authority. And you can't explain it to them. If you don't teach it to them while they're young, they will not grow up. You can't teach an 18, 19-year-old boy how to respond and respect authority. You can't do it. He should have gotten that when he's 1, 2, 3, 4. If you didn't do it then, you're going to have to kill him, because he doesn't understand it. And he may even want to do better, but he doesn't know how, because his father didn't teach him. His father didn't teach him because it wasn't there. I thought that was a cure for cancer. And that's just last month. So I wanted to be able to share those things. But we're headed, my friends, we're headed for a place where nobody can save you. By the year 2023, and what's going to happen politically in America, not around the world, but just here in America, nobody will now be able to save you. If you're not saved by the word of God, now, and I'm not talking about salvation, washed in the blood, you got your name on some church membership roll. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about fundamentally what's going to happen to our nation. That January 6th, the assault on the temple of democracy is going to be in every hamlet, going to be in every town. Just listen to what's going on. Look at what's happening in the state of Arizona right now. That was minuscule, like a picnic compared to what's going to be happening at every state capital. And again, if Trump is indicted, the Asia world is going to go into a dictatorial position. And when you got a 24-year-old person like Nick Fuentes saying we need a dictator, because as long as we have this democratic system of one man, one vote, people can vote for this, vote. They can vote in sodomy, they can vote in homosexuality, they can vote in same-sex marriages, they can vote in abortion, they can vote all that stuff in. Then how do we conquer it? How do we change all those ills? Get a dictator who won't let it come in. When you got that kind of thought now being put out on the public airways. At any rate, everybody, I ask that you continue to pray for us. Remember, I don't talk a lot about the foreclosure. Don't remember that. Remember that we are facing a very dire situation of foreclosure. Now we're going to come out of it. God sent this challenge to build us. We're going to come out of it. But let's see whether you think we're worthy of your help by your financial giving. Amen. All right, I'm going to leave you with my daughter at an event we had down in Times Square. We took over Times Square, going back a couple of years ago, and she sang Ave Maria.
It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. So what does that mean? It's time to purchase your Christmas gifts from BetheliteMarketplace.org, where we have fine china, beautiful glassware, unique dishes and vases, musical instruments, Jewelry that is sure to make you dazzle. Wonderful apparel and so much more. So, hurry today and place your order and enjoy a 50% off for a limited time. 'Tis the season to purchase.